welcome to the Orange Flag Podcast. The NASCAR clash at Bowman Gray got delayed again. But first, Aries has thoughts on Daytona. I'm Nicole.
I'm Auston.
I'm Aries with some thoughts about Daytona. Last week, if you didn't notice, I was actually here, but I kind of was the tree in the background. I was just here to wave my flag and comment about Felipe and Esther during the 3-peat and my country during the 6-peat. It's very important to me, but besides that, there was some other stuff in the race that I took note and I had to comment about because, I don't know, it was interesting, at least to my mind. This is not a race review because we don't do those, but, bear with me as I take you through the unimportant stuff. First and foremost, the LMP2 bowling alley, because that's how you're going to win a 24-hour race. You're going to take all of your opposition out in turn 1. Logic.
Yes.
It worked.
It worked somehow in CrowdStrike's favor? They were involved in it, so it's this whole crash out at turn 1's confusing. Because there was one, and then there was another. So, you could say they started one of them, but then they were also a victim in another one, so it's what's the ruling here? Do we blame Kurtz or not? All I know is usually Kurtz is innocent, and the one that's innocently collected in the LMP2 crash. So maybe it was him taking revenge for every time he's been wronged by all the other bronzes.
Do we know who Kevin cut off yet? Has that been figured out by anybody?
Maybe.
Also, I was thinking about this.
That was early.
Kevin, stop listening for about a minute because this is very bad of me. What Kevin did to that LMP2, according to Larry's description on Over the Limit, is exactly what the Aston Martin did to Kevin at the Nürburgring.
Yeah, what if it was CrowdStrike and then that was we must take revenge. This is how we
Larry's description was Kevin thought he was clear and came across the track and got T-boned, which is exactly what the Aston Martin did. Thought it was clear, came across the track and got T-boned. So, what goes around comes around, I guess? I should put my Grello hat on while I'm commenting on the Nürburgring.
They say karma gets ya eventually.
Drinking game right there, because that was not in the notes, but that literally just came into my mind while we were talking about LMP2 crashes.
I will say another thing we talked about pre-recording was we were thinking of ways CrowdStrike was able to come back from being crashed out to winning their class at this race. We've determined
lit candles.
They set some things on fire and they saged the car. And that's how they were able to come back and win. So for all those teams out there, if you're ever in this situation yourself, might I recommend lighting some things on fire, getting some sage?
Not your car, though, Wayne Taylor Racing. Not your car.
Is it too soon? I don't think it's too soon.
It's Wayne Taylor Racing. It's never too soon.
Exactly. Yeah, that did happen. All I'm saying is just have a little, drawer or cabinet in your garage prepared with, ritual materials in case you need them.
Yeah, well...
So what you're saying is we need to bring ritual materials to Sebring.
It's Sebring. We literally light couches on fire. If there's any race to bring ritual supplies to, feel like that's probably the one. Just saying. It's also in Florida. We're a crazy bunch. Have you seen the Florida Man news articles? Just saying. It's very fitting.
Yeah, it's an interesting section to go through. Well, whatever it was that CrowdStrike did at Daytona, maybe during the fog hours, I don't know. Maybe they took advantage of the fact nobody was seeing what they were doing. But that was some strong stuff. Because, we had the Asian Le Mans series at Dubai this weekend, and CrowdStrike won both races. So, Yeah, I want what they're doing. I want to know what they're doing because I want to do that for my life. Just saying.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah. And they're not, like certain other teams at Asian Le Mans who, won and then got disqualified.
Yes, your favorite driver, Antonio Fuoco.
Hate him. But unfortunately, C is in that car.
Do I have, like, a thing of him?
I don't think we went through his line.
We did not go through his line.
Because he wasn't in any of the lines we cared about. Because once again, I don't like him, so I didn't prioritize going to his line.
He's your favorite driver.
No, I hate him. I hate Ferrari.
Well, someone that we kind of mentioned before we started recording was Ben Keating. It was one of the least bronze drivers among the bronzes. He was not very happy, to put it mildly, with his team during the early night hours. Because I don't remember right now if it was during the yellow flag or not. I think it wasn't. I think it was before that. Because I remember him saying like he was losing positions to everybody because he was the only bronze on track in LMP2 because everybody else was not running their bronzes at the time, and he was so mad he couldn't put two words together. Like he was I think he was about to explode, literally. I don't remember seeing a driver that pressed in any interview, like, ever.
No.
I need somebody to find this interview for me and send it to me, because obviously at the track didn't see or hear any of the interviews.
I'm gonna find
I need to see this.
I'll find it.
But also, I feel like everyone thinks of Ben and they're like, oh, he isn't an angry dude. Dude can get angry when he needs to be angry.
Yes.
But also, I will say, Ben, you were kind of disadvantaged in the fact that you were the only LMP2 car that had 2 bronzes. I know we were talking before we started recording that of the bronzes, Ben's like one of the least bronzes of the bronzes, but he's still a bronze, and the car did have 2 of them, so at one point, one of the bronzes need to be on the track when the other bronzes weren't on track. And of the 2 bronzes in the car, I would make that be Ben.
Yeah, Ben feels like the one that at least can maintain some position against pro drivers.
Yeah.
But obviously, PJ Hyatt said that generally the bronze time gets taken care of while it's still daylight. And when you've got 2 bronzes, you just can't do that. So I understand Ben's frustration, but also, Ben, maybe don't put a second bronze in your car.
Also, Ben, you kind of had a similar situation last year because you were doubling Daytona.
Yeah.
So, it's not like this is your first time in this situation. I get it, last year was different classes.
Yeah.
But still, you did at one point have to be on when non-bronzes were on.
Yes.
And then, obviously, I feel like Daytona is not gonna, the 2026 Rolex 24 is not gonna be known for Penske doing the 3P. It's not gonna be known for CrowdStrike breaking their curse or anything. It's going to be known for the 6.5 hours of fog. So it did feel like we were back at Le Mans 2024 for a while, because at some point I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna give up and I'm gonna fall asleep again. And I woke up and they were still going under yellow, so I thought, maybe I nailed my sleep strategy this time.
Yeah, I was a little frustrated at the track with the fact that it was not made clear that the plan was to keep this full course yellow in place until sunrise. Because, yes, I kind of got a tiny bit of sleep. Whoop doesn't think I did, but I think I did. But, probably would have changed my strategy about what I was doing a little bit. I wouldn't have left or anything, but I don't know. Like, it was a little frustrating thinking, like, at any point it may go green again. So, like, you doze off for 20 minutes and you wake up and you're like, okay, are they green again? And where I was trying to nap also wasn't necessarily the best location because it was right at the start of the pit lane. So anytime cars came into pit, it was very loud when they exited the pit box. So, like, probably would have located myself somewhere different had I known it was going to be 6 hours and I could have gotten a full night's sleep. But yeah, that was a little frustrating.
Yeah, see, I didn't even nap at all. I didn't sleep at all that race. It would have been nice to have some sort of communication to be like, oh, I can nap. I will say I tried. I just couldn't fall asleep.
It's that anxiety of, like, it could go green.
It was the anxiety of it could go green because it's a weather thing, so it's just waiting for weather to clear. But then also just like so much noise that it was like,
see, I brought my sleep headphones or earplugs.
I forgot my earplugs. So I did not have that. And so I like tried because I had my jean jacket. I tried putting that over my head, and then that didn't really do anything. But then also, it wasn't raining, but there was like moisture.
So much humidity.
And it was just so humid, and it was just like sticky, and you were getting wet from the humidity that it was just like uncomfortable to be like, I'm gonna try to sleep in this. And it was cold.
Yes. It was like, so it's not like it was a nice temperature and damp. It was like 45 degrees and damp. It was terrible. Like, which for anyone, honestly, it was terrible.
For anyone who's going to be like, it was in the negatives where I live, that's nothing. Humidity mixed with 45-degree weather is disgusting. It's different than, like, it's cold and no humidity.
Yeah.
It was disgusting to where I was like, I do not feel comfortable. I can't fall asleep because I feel uncomfy in this disgusting weather.
And then on top of that,
it's just, there was also just like nowhere to really like fully escape from the weather either.
Yeah. The weather, and no matter where you went, you could kind of hear the PA system.
Yes.
So, like I said last week, they kept on talking about Kevin. So I definitely couldn't sleep because I kept on thinking they were saying, like, the car is retiring, or Kevin crashed into a wall, or Kevin crashed into another car because he fell asleep at the wheel. Like, I had every time they said Kevin, I like jolted awake because I was like, what did he do? And in fact, they were just telling stories about Kevin, as 24-hour commentators do in 24-hour races.
Yes.
Yeah, it was very much the vibes of, we have nothing to talk about, so we're just going to do story time. But it was just like, no matter how hard you tried to fall asleep at the track, everything was not working in your favor.
No, it was bad.
Yeah, like, I mean, props to the commentators for, actually finding stuff to keep on yapping about while there's literally nothing going on besides cars trundling around at neutral speeds. Like, I was halfway back to sleep, but I did tweet a question to IMSA Radio, and they answered it while at some point something about the safety car swap and whether it was full of fuel or not. So hey, I got a bit of a shout out. And then after the race, I found out on Instagram that the Brazilian stream, we are an unhinged bunch when we want to be. Apparently my people were doing ASMR at some point.
Nice.
I was like, how is that supposed to work?
I too
tap the car.
I feel like the delirium would get to you after a while. and you just try anything, and I feel like that might be
delirious
what happened.
content.
That's what I'm saying.
People loved our delirious content.
If you haven't seen it, I think you can.
Too bad it was No, it was stories.
Oh, well, never mind. You can't see it, but I
can try to find it in the archive and screen record it and repost it.
Or we can make, like, those little story archive things.
Yeah, we could do that. We could do a little story archive circle thing.
Basically, if you didn't see it, I was so sleep deprived. I was doing calisthenics.
Yes.
Which really was just me twirling in circles around the paddock.
But it was funny. And then we also played What Would People Eat at Waffle House, or Who Would Go to Waffle House, or something?
Yes, it was who would go to Waffle House, and we determined criteria for who would go to Waffle House and who wouldn't. We determined everyone.
Or was it IHOP? It was IHOP, because there's the IHOP across from the track.
It was IHOP, I believe.
See, we were so delirious, we don't even remember what we said.
But we determined, based off Kevin and Larry being too pretentious about what they eat, and Kevin saying Matt doesn't really care, and the fact Matt has been to Waffle House, that Matt would go to IHOP.
Yes.
Sorry, Matt, you're still catching strays.
Yes, always going to catch strays. I guess my one final thought about the, full-length WEC race of safety car is it is probably the only reason that car number 6 was able to finish the race, because had that race gone green all through the night, they wouldn't have been able to do the repairs. They probably would have retired from the race, or had to go a massive number of laps down, which in the grand scheme of things, they still would have finished like 9th. But 4th is a lot better than 9th.
R.I.P. to the Aston. It came back, though.
It did. They did have the parts out. Here, if you're watching the YouTube stream. So, like, this side pod bit here is, like, a piece. And then this wheel arch covery thing here is also a piece. They had both of these laid out in the garage. Yes, I know this is the WEC car, but I don't have an IMSA car model, and I have this in front of me. So they had them laid out in the garage to do the repair if they had to.
I will say, though, when they did have the parts laid out, and then when they did the repair, the parts were in the 7 garage.
Yeah, they were.
Why'd we put them in the 7 garage? The 6 garage was right next to it.
I don't know. But they did have the wheel covery thing in the 6 garage.
Yes,
just
it was half and half.
The side pod was in the 7 garage.
Yes.
I have a pipicture somewhere. I can post it.
I was going to say,
I did take a picture of the side pod in the 7 garage.
But it literally, I'm just like, it's literally right.
So my thought is it was in the 7 garage because if they needed to do the repair, they were going to have to bring the car into the garage. So it was in the 7 garage so they could roll the 6 in, take the piece off, and it was funny that it was in the 7 garage.
But it was funny that it was in the 7 garage.
Everyone was taking pictures of it in the 7 garage, so everybody else thought it was funny too.
Exactly.
But, yeah, the stupid safety car of forever was helpful for us and our...
And the tape.
Yes, and the tape.
The never-ending tape.
That picture Larry posted was wild.
So many rolls of tape.
Yes.
It's just literally looking at the photo, you can just see all the rolls of tape.
Yeah, you can see how much tape is on the thing.
I guess my final thoughts about the whole fog of war situation was I hope this is not like a bad omen for the other 24 races this year, because Daytona seems to be setting a trend, like maybe not regarding weather but regarding quirky stuff happening. Like 2024, for instance, we had the race finish 2 minutes early. And then the Nürburgring was basically shortened because of weather, and then Le Mans had the whole long safety car because of that, the huge BMW accident and weather. and then the 24 hours
Okay,
stopped.
that was hilarious on Over the Limit, where Larry was like, "Did you have to drive a lot in the safety car?" In 2024, Dries was like, "The safety car was because of me."
Me.
Like,
Larry,
I
come caused
on.
that one. But Aries, what I think you're getting at is if the fog doesn't become the bad omen for Le Mans, it's going to be the LMP2s crashing into turn one.
Kevin, because he thinks he's going to do LMP2, which is in the notes later.
I'm just saying.
Yep. And then just some rapid fire stuff. People, obviously we already touched on the Wayne Taylor caddy being cursed, the blue car. Fire. And one thing that a lot of people complained about, as usual, was the TV direction, because for some reason they just love to spend a lot of time going on board with a car that's just lapping around while there is some sort of more interesting battle going on elsewhere. It's kind of frustrating when you're because you want to see what's going on. You just don't want to. Onboard feeds are cool, but if I want to remain on board with the car, I'm just gonna search for that feed and I'm gonna watch it throughout the whole race. Like I'm watching the broadcast. Give me action.
Yeah.
It's not that hard.
Luckily, we didn't have that issue, but you're not the only person that I've seen complaining about the TV direction, which has been an issue across all of sports car racing for all of 2025, so apparently it's carrying into 2026 as well.
Yep.
Well, not a good sign. And then the final bit, which is probably kind of controversial, but then when is this acronym not controversial? A lot of people were complaining about BOP being lopsided in 3 out of the 4 classes. LMP2 doesn't count because it's a spec class. But yeah, that was the talk of. A lot of people said that throughout the whole race, either in the group chats we're in or on the timeline I was paying attention to. There was a lot of talk about that. And in the end, I guess, ironically, the biggest gap was in the spec class.
That's just LMP2.
It didn't feel at the race, and maybe it's because of how interrupted it was, but it did not feel like Porsche had this advantage that everybody is saying they had. Like, yes, I guess they led 70% of the race or something, but like also half the race was under safety car. So like, it's just, it certainly felt like every time there was green flag running, there were other cars that were in contention to be able to win all the way down to the end. Like, quite frankly, I am shocked that the 24 BMW did not win that race just off of Jack Aiken taking out Felipe Nasser. That's what I thought was going to happen. I don't know who that was wearing Jack Aiken's helmet and suit in the 31 Caddy, but that is not the Jack Aiken I know. Jack Aiken does not pull out of a dive bomb. So
he loves a good dive bomb.
I fully expected him to take Nasser out, and like that, that surprised me. The fact that he was close enough to do that, I think, shows that the whole BOP thing was kind of BS anyways. Like, people saying it was lopsided.
Also, I feel like people see numbers of how many laps were led by, like, a specific manufacturer and forget all of the variables of why the numbers are like that. Like, did everyone just forget, like, a good chunk of the race was under safety car? Because that explains why the numbers lean a certain way.
Yeah.
Yeah, if anything, last year, Porsche led more laps than this year, I think.
Yeah, last year, I think Porsche felt way more dominant than this year. Like, Porsche ran away with the race last year. This year, it really didn't feel like they did. It felt like at any given moment, they could have, lost the lead. So, Yeah, I do think it was better this year. I think that people are going to say that's our Porsche bias, but I genuinely think it seemed better this year.
Well, we're not leaving Daytona. We're continuing with Daytona because we realized we have stories that we forgot from Daytona. So we're going to quickly go over those. And it's so we were talking to crew from PPM, and it got on the topic of Lauren and how he is now just Bambi to everyone on the team. And apparently they asked us if we knew why it was, and we were like, because, sports. He's not good at sports. And then they were telling us stories that they've heard, and apparently Matt was talking about paddle and how Lauren is terrible at paddle. Matt.
But they didn't know what paddle
Yes,
was.
They also were like, didn't know.
It's like pickleball, but it's not pickleball, and they got really offended that we thought they were talking about pickleball, and I'm like, paddle. And they were very confused that we knew what paddle was, but like, come on, these boys post about paddle on Instagram all the time.
Yeah, we literally both at the exact same time went, paddle! And they were like,
yes.
Oh. But like, all I'm gonna say is, of all the people to be critiquing Lauren's sports abilities, Matt, you are not the one to be doing that, because if we know anything, apparently when it comes to rankings, it's Lauren, and then it's you. You're apparently not that great either.
And Jam, according to, from when he was there. Because Lawrence said that on his podcast, that Matt and Jam were not good at
sports.
The sports games that they do at camp. So yeah,
yes.
Feeling Matt is still on a different level than Lauren though, because he is not getting constantly roasted the way that Lauren is.
But I also think in this specific situation, Lauren's the new guy. The new guy's gonna get roasted upon. Matt's been there for a bit.
It's roasted quite a bit.
But I'm saying, for specifically things like this,
Matt saw an opportunity to roast someone else and
took it. Yeah, Matt is usually the victim of the roasting and was like, oh, we have a new guy now. Yes. I can make him the victim. And that's what happened.
And Lauren, sorry, not sorry. We are fully aware this is as a result of our interview with Kevin. And the clip of said interview where he calls you Bambi. Blame Kevin, because he brought that up out of nowhere. That we did not ask about you. Kevin decided to talk about you on his own.
I will also say, Kevin thought we didn't know what Bambi was. I'd like to point out, it's made by Disney. Disney's an American company. Pretty sure we know what it is, Kevin. But he thought we didn't know what it was, so...
Kevin took the fact that Disneyland Paris is a thing and assumed that Disney was French. That's what I'm going with.
Yes. It is not, Kevin.
No, Kevin, it's not.
Very much so is not. And then, sticking with Porsche, but on the GT side, we went through Manti's autograph line, and they had, regular cards, but then they also had posters for the cards. And so Feller had literally just signed the last poster, and he was so relieved that he was finally done with these posters, only for one of the members of the team to come out and give him more posters, and he was very disappointed that more posters appeared. So we just
got the little cards instead.
Yes, and he was very happy because it was us when it got the new stack of posters.
Very appreciative.
And he went to start signing them and went, no, you're good, dude.
No, we don't
just
need those.
Want the cards.
Yes. And then, obviously, I have podcast props over here, so, I'm going to do a little bit of a show and tell. I got this tiny Daytona car. It's, I don't know. They sold it at the gift shop, and it's cool, so I got it. It's a Ford Mustang, which,
Ew.
I mean, it's just like 2026, 24 hours of Daytona, so it's cool. Got my, I don't know if you can see the signatures, you kind of can. Got this bad boy girl. Jolene's
It's a
definitely a
girl.
girl.
It's definitely a girl.
Signed from last year, and this, I think I told this story last week, that Matt was very confused as to the fact that I had a car that all three of them could sign. Yes, Spark does have last year's Porsche hypercar available, and it did come in just in time. What else do I have for podcast props? Oh yes, Larvin shirt.
Yes.
Yep, got signed. Everybody did a really good job at signing. I think some of that is down to, we know now who needs help and who doesn't, because it was like, so Larry, you need me to hold the shirt, right? Yup, hold the shirt. Matt, you also need me to hold the shirt. Yup, here you go, Kevin.
See, when I went through with my shirt, I didn't even have to say, like, do you need help? Matt was literally like, I need you to hold the shirt. And I was like, yes, I know, Matt. And then I was like, Kevin, while I'm holding the shirt for Matt, I'm just gonna put it in between the two. You can sign it too.
Yeah, Kevin is the only one capable of signing this shirt without significant outside assistance, and good job, Kevin. Good job.
Larry, I'm literally holding the shirt for him, and he's like, I'm going to need your help. And I'm like, Larry, I'm already holding the shirt.
Yeah.
I guess rating drivers' signatures did pay off in a way or another.
Yes, we do now have a baseline of how much help certain people are going to need.
Matt is at the bottom. He's been signing the most of our shirts and still needs assistance.
He does need significant assistance.
I think this episode is just me roasting Matt.
I think it is, yes. Very much
sorry,
roasting
not sorry.
Matt. Staying on the topic of Kevin and Larry, there was an article, I think it was Sports Car 365, about Larry not wanting to do Le Mans this year because he can't do it in hypercar, so he doesn't care about doing LMP2 or GT3. Meanwhile, Kevin wants to do something like Nielsen. Remember when we were trying to start the rumor of Kevin to Nielsen? Kevin to Nielsen could be a thing at Le Mans. So, like, make that happen, guys. Thanks.
Okay, but Larry, what if it's an LMP2? And it's you and Kevin, and it's pink.
I don't think they can be in the same LMP2.
True.
They're both platinums.
Damn it. That's true. I just wanted them to be back in a pink LMP2.
I don't know when that's showing up, but it is on the way. I cannot wait for this stupid thing to get here.
See,
it better get here before Sebring.
So it's gonna be like, this is your excuse.
No,
show
it's not. Trust me, it would have been posted on Instagram already if it was here. It is not here yet, but it will be here hopefully before Sebring so that I can get Chris to sign it.
Okay, but we make an exception to the rule. So that we can have Kevin and Larry in an LMP2 that's pink.
Yeah, no, that would be fun.
I'm just saying.
I was gonna say the pink LMP2 with these two. I was gonna say, did that happen, or was I having a fever dream or something? But no, I guess it did happen.
It did.
It did. And then sticking with WEC, Honda apparently is gonna team up with Inter-Europol and be in WEC next year.
What?
So that's I don't know how they're going to cut the field to accommodate all these new entries, because we have a possible unnamed Chinese brand, and then Porsche keeps claiming they're going to come back. So that's 4 additional cars on top of this massive field. I think they're going to have to go to single car LMGT3.
Well, one way you apparently cut the field, though, is Alpine leaves, and that gives you at least a spot for two cars. Because at this rate, it pretty much sounds like Alpine's gonna be gone. Which all I'm gonna say is, kind of saw it coming based off the way the lineups were this year. It was a lot of guys
very cobbled together. Like,
it feels a lot
we'll
of guys
throw you in the car.
That are just like, we needed a temporary person, throw this guy in.
Yeah.
Especially when it's Victor Martins, who they literally let go from their development program, and then he's back with them, but not, because he's still with Williams. Which, like, I get they kind of did that with Mick, but, like, Mick wasn't with Alpine, and then left Alpine, and then came back to Alpine, while also being with another F1 team. It's weird.
Someone hold Aries back, because they also can just get rid of the 83 to add an additional spot. And then if Alpine leaves and you get rid of the 83, then you're only net one car up. So that's not as big of a deal.
I mean, I was gonna say you would need to hold, more like you need to hold our very well known people from Poland back if you suggested that. But then they would be over the moon if Inter Europol actually steps up to hypercar. So that
it's a trade-off.
We're all going to forget that the 83 exists if
probably
Inter Europol has a team.
Probably.
Like, if that actually happens for next year, no one in Poland is going to be caring about the 83 anymore. They're going to be caring about their Polish team and their bread car.
Yes, I will say, if this does happen, it makes a lot of sense why certain Honda MSR drivers are doing inter-Europol stuff.
Yeah, Tom Blomqvist and Nick Yellowly are both driving for Inter Europol at various points this season. So it is a very logical move.
It's been the carrot has been dangling in front of us all this time.
We just didn't see it.
We didn't see it.
We didn't see it. Now I feel
because
stupid.
Honda has been saying for so long that they don't want to do WEC, so we just wrote off them doing WEC.
Yes,
and the seed was in front of us this whole time.
I am so glad that I didn't make a stupid promise like, oh, if Honda enters the WEC, I'm gonna eat my hat or something, because I would have been forced to do that, and I did roast them, saying that they had no balls to commit to the WEC. I guess I was wrong, but I'm
they've been playing us this whole entire time, and I feel betrayed. I don't like Honda, but like it feels like betrayal. They've been saying for so long that they don't want to do WEC, and then suddenly they're like, actually, we do want to do WEC. Pick Honda.
See, I'm just excited about it because I'm overly concerned about LMDHs, and I said this in our group chat today. I'm overly concerned about LMDHs slowly realizing that there's not a point of being in WEC. If an LMDH does not win Le Mans before the new rule set comes into place, I think you just see a mass rebellion of the LMDH teams. I really do. I think they're going to say there is not a purpose of being in this championship if we are never going to be able to win Le Mans. So, I fear we're going to have the DPI LMP1 split Mach 2.
Yeah, let's hope not. But it definitely does give those vibes. I'm also a weirdo. Some people don't like how the Acura sounds. I like how the Acura sounds. I think it's going to be cool to have it in WEC. So I'm also just interested to see what Inter Europol combined with the car is going to look like.
Some of these AI renders have been phenomenal.
Exactly, which is why I'm like, I am excited to see what this car is going to look like. I'm just hoping they don't go the weird MSR route that they did this year for liveries.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
keep it
it's
more
inter-Europol.
traditional.
It is going to be lime green and yellow.
Yes.
There
I'm
is
just
no
saying,
question.
let's stick
Oh,
to the
yeah.
traditional inter-Europol way of doing things and not try to change it up.
Oh,
I mean, I think that's just MSR not having sponsors and Todd Alt being like, I will sponsor you more than something Acura or Honda is doing.
But just like, we don't need all of the crazy lines and everything that even they were doing before, like last year. Not like the liveries I love, but they've been doing like the weird splitting of lines with last year. And it was like, what's going on? Just stick to the basics.
I could actually see them doing because they still have a lot of Jokers left. I could see them doing like a full Toyota level redesign on that car before entering WEC.
Which wouldn't surprise me. They've kind of been hinting at wanting to do something with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, now I'm curious to what they might do. Going on about the renders we saw. If you follow the podcast account, like we retweeted a tweet I did about my favorite one a while ago. It was just full of bread. It was a lot of bread in random places, and I'm like, this is fantastic. We don't
really
need
wanted
anything
to
else.
just say bread.
Like,
okay, but like, imagine this hat, but it said bread.
Okay, but did you see me jump out of my skin? I fully jumped out of my skin when you yelled bread.
I guess I forgot this hat during show and tell, by the way. This is my Grello hat from the Maybe You Need to Make Sandwiches story that Kevin signed.
Yes.
And
oh my god, though. That got me.
Yes.
And then my just final thought about this. It's kind of ironic, though, that now that Honda finally says, hello, we might be doing this after all. One Orica-based prototype coming in, the other Orica-based prototype, which is Alpine, might be saying au revoir. Make it make sense. It's a balancing act.
Yeah,
it is.
It is a balancing act, and I will say, I'm gonna miss those weird taillights.
Oh.
Genesis is Orica as well, aren't they?
Yes.
So is Ford.
Ford. So, like, we're gonna have a few more.
Yeah.
But my first thought when Alpine said it was like, when it was said that Alpine's most likely gonna be gone, I was like, not the taillights.
Yeah, those taillights are cool.
They're so cool. But now, other news that I feel like people didn't expect. We kind of suspected it because when we were at the track, we could never find him, and that was Seb Bourdais is leaving Tower. He raced with them for Daytona, and that will be his only race with them. He's wanting to focus on WEC. Look, he wasn't around at Tower much during Daytona, so I'm not surprised that he's leaving.
I didn't even think to look at him or look for him at Action Express because there were a crapload of Joda higher-ups there.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
I wouldn't be shocked if he had been in there and we just weren't looking for him, so we didn't notice him, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this is disappointing to me. I'm curious who is going to be their pro now for the remaining rounds, but yeah, that'll be interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be interesting.
And then new development in the coffee saga today. Maybe Kevin and Nicole Get Coffee has to be Larry and Nicole Get Coffee because Larry has lots of opinions on what we as the podcast should be doing as far as like eating. Like sugar and Coke can only be had when you're like actively physically training. But he did confirm today that plain lattes, as in like espresso plus milk, are always an acceptable thing. So like, Larry, if Kevin doesn't want to get coffee with me, we could do Larry and Nicole Get Coffee for my coffee rankings at the track.
Okay, but like, is Larry now our dietitian slash
Yes,
nutritionist?
he is our health guru.
Yeah. Larry,
Um,
I have questions.
it was not something I expected, but he has been sending us articles about like proper nutrition and fueling. So like, thanks Larry, that's awesome, but it was very unexpected.
Okay, Larry, I'm gonna need the research into candy is okay if you run 10 laps.
Yes.
I'm
I
gonna
mean, I
need the
think it's just a
scientific backing.
smaller version of candy is okay if you're riding the bicycle
Yeah, but I
because
need the
smaller
evidence.
person. Uh, um
Okay, so
yes.
because I'm short, does that apply?
Yeah, I think so, yes. I would say
So what
yes.
I'm hearing is 10
Run 10 laps
laps.
around your house and then you can have a piece of candy.
Chill, chill.
Singular piece of candy. Um
The serving
switching
size is 3. So,
Okay, fine. 3 pieces of candy.
yeah.
Switching over to IndyCar but staying within Penske. Um Tim Cindric is back, I guess. I think we all knew he wasn't going to be away for long, but he's on the stand for Scotty Mack, which
Yes.
Scotty is thrilled about, but I think the IndyCar world as a whole is not thrilled about.
The IndyCar world as a whole is not thrilled about Tim Cindric being back. Scotty, though, did make it a point in like the announcement to be like, Tim Cindric basically helped me get here.
Yeah.
Which I
Tim
feel like
brought him to the US for sure.
yes, which I feel like a lot of people seem to be forgetting that aspect. So when this got announced, I was like, honestly, makes sense.
Yeah. And then obviously the street circuit for Washington DC got announced. I tweeted and it got like 10,000 views or something that I'm concerned about safely building a street circuit in 6 months. Mark Miles came out like at the end of last season and said it is not feasible to have a Washington DC race in 2026. So I want to know what between the end of last season and now has changed that makes it feasible, because as safe as we have made motor racing as a whole in the past decade, 2 decades, whatever you want to say, it is still a dangerous thing. And cutting corners to meet an arbitrary timeline is scary.
It's
And
also just, it's not even like well timed out races of street circuits we still see issues with. Look at F1 and Vegas. There's always issues with that track. So now having to do a street circuit with a really short time frame when we're still having issues with ones that are planned out for really long time and having issues.
and
Yeah,
nothing against IndyCar, but F1 is a much larger machine than IndyCar. I trust F1 to put together a quick build street circuit a lot more than IndyCar. And yes, people are like, oh, IndyCar's been doing temporary street circuits since the 70s. Yeah, sure, they have, but people have also gotten hurt on temporary street circuits. Ask Dario Franchitti about temporary street circuits, you know?
and it's like sometimes stuff at tracks that have been visited before happen. Like I remember, I think it was when the Detroit at Belle Isle got added back to the calendar in 2012. I think like that is a race that the Roger Penske was helping to organize, and the track surface was breaking up, and they had to shorten the race after a long red flag. And I was like, yeah, that's a PR black eye due to like safety.
Yeah,
So it's
if you
not
want to
something you
like
can just dismiss.
if you want a very recent example, St. Pete last year. Nothing happened during the actual race, but leading up to the race, it was a very big question of if that race was even going to be able to happen, because if you all don't know and somehow forgot, we were hit by a pretty significant hurricane in the area, and they were still removing sand. from the area, so they didn't even know if the streets were going to be clear in time to be able to have the race, much less set it up. So it's just, even that was a question mark, and St. Pete's been happening for a decent amount of time.
Yeah.
I see with the DC race a very, once again, similar issue to F1 in Vegas. The way these cities are laid out, shutting down a significant portion of them for a decent amount of time is gonna make working in those parts of the city chaos. For Vegas, a lot of people work on the Strip, so that impacted a lot of those people that were working on the Strip, because most people who live in Vegas have a job on the Strip. I see probably similar issues for DC.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah. The one thing that I think the first thing I actually got concerned about was like obviously it being the U.S. capital city. I was like, how was that like allowed to go ahead in regarding like security and stuff? I thought maybe it's not the sort of thing that would happen over there.
So what I think it's going to be is a secure zone. So there will be a hard perimeter. Here's the track. You know, obviously it's not going to, but here is the track. That is going to be a hard perimeter. You are going to go through TSA level security. Like full on, put your hands up, body scanners to get into the track. You will not be able to bring in food. You will not be able to bring in water. It's going to be a completely closed zone. And once you're in, there's no in and out. There's no, I'm going to pop back to my hotel. That's my prediction for it, is once you're in that zone, it's like after you've gone through security at the airport. You can't just run back out to your car, or you have to go completely through security again, and not just quick walk through the metal detector. Oh, let me see your bag. Okay. Like shake. Like it's going to be the airport. So that's going to be a mess. I agree with you, Aries. That's actually a really good point.
It's what I also expect NASCAR's San Diego race to have a similar kind of situation to, because that's on a military base.
Good point.
So I expected when this was announced and when San Diego for NASCAR was announced, because with recently more announcements for that race have come out, I'm expecting both of them to have very different security to what we're used to for races, just because of where they're at. Which, speaking of NASCAR, we kind of already touched on it. The Clash, will it even happen? Because it was originally moved to Monday because of weather. Now it's moved to Wednesday because of weather. Now it's just, will it even happen? Was
maybe
moving it from Daytona the right decision? Like,
I love all the snarky tweets that are like, you know, I've come up with a great idea. What if we moved the Clash to Daytona? Have they ever tried that before? I'm like, I love when people get snarky like that. It's amazing.
Mine was literally like, gonna take like a screenshot of outside and be like, there's some snow delaying Clash. Don't have that here in Florida right now. Like,
it is cold in Florida, but at least there's no snow, because it does snow in Florida.
But like, not in
there is no snow at Daytona right now, unlike at Bowman Gray Stadium, where there is actively snow.
Yeah, I'm just saying, you know, it's almost like maybe we should have had it at Daytona.
Yeah.
Just a thought. NASCAR, just maybe consider that.
Yeah. Good idea. Really good idea.
Yeah.
People were expecting the Clash to be the cars out on track. Instead, the Clash is actually NASCAR versus the weather.
Yes.
Mother
Nature had thoughts.
And then in big, for me, F1 news, Jenson Button and Fernando Alonso are back together. Jenson was announced today as a brand ambassador for Aston Martin, and I am thrilled about this because since Fernando Alonso races for Aston Martin is currently my team in Formula One. So Jensen being there is fantastic because, as we remember from my, goodbye Jensen Button segment, he is probably, the one driver that I have been following for some of the longest amount of time, Fernando being one of the other ones. As I said in that thing, Kevin Estre was literally a child when I started being a fan of Jensen Button and Fernando Alonso, because I was literally a child when I started being a fan of Jensen Button and Fernando Alonso.
Yeah, I will say, I had to do a double take when I saw it posted to be like, is this just somebody editing him in Aston Martin gear? And then I looked again and I was like, no, this is an official announcement.
Yeah,
and then I was
was great.
Oh, yay, he's finally freed of Williams. And I was like, well, actually now he's just going from Williams, finally figuring stuff out and not being as bad as they were, to Aston, which they need some work. So I'm like, Jensen, you're just ending up in bad situations.
I mean, but he's just a brand ambassador. He is not doing, development on the car. He is not a driver coach the way he was with Williams. This is much more of a, fun retirement gig for him. Which, like I said, I am so excited about.
Yeah. It was just my first thought. I was like, damn, you really are leaving Williams right when they're figuring stuff out to go to Aston when they're not really figuring stuff out.
Well, we don't know who's figured stuff out. Williams does not have a car they can even bring to testing. I would not say they are figuring stuff out.
I was going to say,
oh yeah,
we do have to take into effect it's all brand new stuff for this year,
yeah.
But where we left it seemed like they had figured stuff out. As of right now, they're still playing, where's our car?
Yeah.
Where's our car? Exactly.
Okay, but in their defense, all the other cars are blowing up, so it's not like everybody else really has a car either.
No, F1 is going to be insane if these cars do not get themselves together between now and the first race. It will be DNF carnage, and I'm here for that.
Same.
I'm here for the chaos, but I'm just saying I feel like every update I've seen is just, another engine has exploded, and I'm like, at this rate, we're gonna have no engines for this season.
And then one final thought I have about Aston that I forgot to put in the notes, but it's very much so livery related. There are some rumors that they might intensify their yellow because of one of their latest sponsors, and people were like, oh yes, this is not Aston Martin anymore. They're going back to their Jordan roots and becoming yellow.
That would be interesting.
That would be interesting, but tell me why my first thought instead went to Inner Europol, because teal is basically green and then yellow. So my brain, instead of going that route, was like, oh, so now we're getting Inner Europol in F1.
I went to this.
See, the Grello also makes sense, but we had just been talking about Inner Europol, so my brain went to Inter Europol.
Yeah, my brain will always go to the Grello.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, Inter Europol they've got the funds, they can, get a hypercar and an F1 team.
Yeah, you know what else is green and yellow, right? I don't need to wave it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, but there's other colors. There's blue. I feel like blue's a very significant factor. I mean, if we have to use wet tires, Brazil.
There you go.
Yeah. I was like, how can I rope blue into it? Wet tires.
Thanks for listening. You can find us on Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram at Orange Flag Pod. Nicole is at Nicole on Racing. Austin is at Austin Trackside. And Aries is at Aries_Alpenglow.
Stay green and yellow. Stay orange.